Welcome. Today we are going to be going over reading fluency for students with dyslexia and struggling readers. This entails speed, accuracy, and expression when reading. I'm Anna Curtis, and this is your Dyslexia Tips and Tidbits. As we always begin, we're going to start with our mission and vision. Our mission of the Hattiesburg Public School District is to educate all students to become productive citizens of a dynamic global community. Our vision is the Hattiesburg Public School District is a model teaching and learning community that graduates productive and caring citizens who are prepared to succeed. Our 4 goals are academic success, all students proficient and are showing growth in all academic areas, community support and engagement, a foster community partnership that supports student achievement and school success, safe and orderly schools to maintain a positive learning environment, and fiscal accountability to maintain sound fiscal practices. As we start today, we're going to briefly go over what is reading fluency, how is reading fluency relevant to dyslexia, and how you can practice reading fluency at home with your student. So to begin, reading fluency is the ability to read with accuracy, automaticity, and expression. Often people think reading fluency just entails the speed, how fast a person can read. However, it is important to know that fluency deals with accuracy and automaticity with expression. That means not just reading like a robot across the page and making a lot of mistakes. You have to read at a sufficient rate while reading correctly and in a way that someone will understand. Fluency is not a natural skill. Some obtain this skill easier than others. Our students with dyslexia or who are just struggling readers may need a lot more practice and instruction in the skill of fluency. Fluency is one of the major building blocks of becoming a successful reader. Without fluency, you don't have comprehension, and without comprehension, you're not understanding what you read. Strong fluency involves reading effortlessly and efficiently. So how is reading fluency related to dyslexia? As we know, a person with dyslexia may significantly struggle with decoding or being able to make sense of a word, maybe breaking words into sounds, not being able to sound out words or recognizing them automatically like we often do as typical learners. So decoding is a very difficult skill for struggling readers. It requires a lot of cognitive energy. This means that their brain is having to work overtime and just trying to read a word rather than reading an entire passage or book. Poor working memory. And so a typical learner, they're able to pull words from their memory. They're able to read without having to really put any effort into it, right? It becomes automatic. It's almost second nature. You don't think about what your brain is having to do. It just does it. Students who have learning disabilities or dyslexia, this is not necessarily the case always. Difficulty with reading fluency inhibits appropriate comprehension, as we mentioned before. Students with dyslexia or struggling readers often read in a robotic and monotone manner. That means that they're not able to intonate their voice. They're not able to read with expression always. When they read, it's very monotone. They read like a robot. Nothing changes. They're very choppy. Like that. It's difficult as a typical learner to not do that. So what are some effective fluency strategies that not only do we do in the schools or in interventions, but that you can also be practicing with at home? I know often as long as they're reading, that's good enough. But studies have shown for example, the National Reading Panel have shown that silent reading is not going to increase reading fluency. Of course, any exposure to reading is excellent for a child. They need to be exposed to reading, whether that's looking through a book, looking at the pictures, and just seeing the words. But as we get higher up in levels and in grades, they really need to be reading out loud. Out loud reading is what's going to help with that fluency, not necessarily only silent reading. So that is one way, is have them read out loud. Repeated reading. This is a strategy that is used to increase reading fluency, where a student reads a passage multiple times. Maybe they read it once, you read it once, and they read it 2 more times. One way to see how they are progressing is you can time them the first time. See how long it takes them to read a passage of maybe 50 to 100 words. It doesn't have to be a long passage. In fact, it doesn't need to be a long passage. And then have them read it 2 more times and see what their final time is. See if they were able to read it any faster. Now, they do need to be reading the words as accurately as possible. If they need a little guidance from you, that's great. Help them. If they're getting a lot of words incorrect, then maybe they need a passage at a lower level. Maybe they're not ready for that independently yet. Choral reading. This is reading as a group, right? We know what a chorus is. You sing as a chorus. Well, choral reading is reading in unison. So, maybe reading together, reading as a family. Echo reading. That's where you can read a chunk or a phrase, and then they repeat you, then you read it again. So, for example, if we were reading, the 3 little pigs, I would read, the 3 little pigs went outside. And the student would repeat it in the same manner while pointing and reading. The 3 little pigs went outside. And you really want to get those multisensory strategies in as well. Maybe have them point or follow along as you're reading. Buddy reading, taking turns reading with a partner. Maybe they have a sibling at home, a grandmother. This also takes away from all that cognitive effort that they're having to put in, where they're just having to read a little bit at a time and then get to take a break and follow along before having to read again. Another strategy, it's as simple as consistent practice. Your students need to be reading out loud. I know after a long day of assignments or homework, they don't necessarily want to read, especially if they're not great readers. They're going to fight it, but they need to read something out loud every day. This is how we increase reading fluency. And practice makes perfect, right? And support and encouragement. This is the biggest. As a parent or guardian or educator, the student needs to hear that their efforts are being noticed. Reading is a very big effort for them, and they need those words of encouragement to show, okay, I can do this. I can keep going along even if it's hard. So make sure you're offering those praises and those verbal rewards. It really will make all the difference in a student. So what can you use at home? Of course, online has a lot of great resources out there. You can check our Hattiesburg website under the Dyslexia tab for some resources online for books and ways to help with reading at home. But you can use decodable readers. These are easy readers, especially perfect for our beginner readers or someone who just is really struggling and still learning how to read and decode. Audiobooks, read-alongs, being able to read along while they're hearing it. That's why audiobooks are really great. I have here comics, newspapers, and magazines. What I meant by that is have your child pick out something that they're very interested in. We do not want reading to be a task, to be a chore. We want it to be fun and educational. We want them to be exposed to vocabulary and knowledge. And so maybe it's just reading a book on their favorite basketball player or finding a funny comic in the newspaper. And of course, our public library is a great resource. These days, you can do everything online. You can sign up for a library card online. You can find the book that you want and go pick it up. They'll even bring it out to your car. So we really want to utilize as many resources as we can. And even if you're looking at audiobooks, the library often offers that as well. So keep that in mind. And like I said, check out our website for some other resources. Here, I want to end with our quote. Reading is to the mind what exercise is to the body. Our body needs exercise. It needs movement. It needs it to stay healthy. Well, our mind needs to be challenged. It needs to read in order to continue to develop and to increase our knowledge on daily matters and everything else that is going on. And so I just challenge you to read a little more. I hope y'all have enjoyed this presentation. I hope you will join us next week for some more tips and tidbits. I'm going to end with my contact information. Again, my name is Anna Curtis. I'm the Dyslexia Specialist with Hattiesburg Public School District. There is my email and my office number. If you ever need anything, please do not hesitate to call or reach out, and I will help you in the best way that I possibly can. Thank you.